Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today let us learn about the subject data science and visualization. The topic we are going to discuss today is exploring relationship plots. Relationship plots are used to visually explore the relationship between two variables, allowing us to identify trends, patterns, and outliers. Scatter plots and bubble plots are two common types of relationship plots. Scatter plots. A scatter plot is a graphical representation of the relationship between two variables. Each point on the scatter plot represents a data point with its corresponding x and y values. Data visualization. Scatter plots are useful for visualizing the relationship between two variables and identifying trends, patterns, or outliers in the data. Correlation analysis. Scatter plots can be used to assess the correlation between two variables, which can be positive, negative, or no correlation. Outlier detection. Scatter plots help identifying data points that are significantly different from the rest of the data called outliers. Trend line. A trend line can be added to the scatter plots to visualize the overall relationship. Scatter plot characteristics. Scatter plots are characterized by their axes, data points, and optional elements like trend lines and labels. The x-axis represents the independent variable while the y-axis represents the dependent variable. Linear relationship. A linear relationship is shown by a straight line trend. Nonlinear relationship. A nonlinear relationship is shown by a curved trend line. Correlation. Correlation describes the strength and direction of the relationship between variables. Interpreting scatter plots. Interpreting a scatter plot involves analyzing the pattern of the data points, observing the presence or absence of a trend, and identifying any outliers. The strength and direction of the relationship between the variable can be determined. Positive correlation as x-axis increases and y increases. Negative correlation as x increases and y decreases. No correlation, no clear relationship between x and y. Bubble plots. A bubble plot is a type of scatter plot where the size of each data point is proportional to a third variable. Data visualization. Bubble plot provide a visual representation of the relationship between three variables, showing both relationship between x and y variables and the magnitude of the third variable. Outlier detection. Bubble plots can be used to identify outliers, which are data points that are significantly different from the rest of the data. Trend analysis. Bubble plots can be used to analyze trends in the data, such as an increase or decrease in the third variable over time. Comparison. Bubble plots can be used to compare different data sets based on the third variable. Bubble plot characteristics. Bubble plots are similar to scatter plots, with the additional characteristic of having third variable represent the size of each bubble. Size. The size of each bubble represents the magnitude of the third variable. Color. Bubble plots can use color to represent different categories or groups of the data points. Labels. Labels can be added to identify individual data. Interpreting bubble plots. Interpreting the bubble plots involve analyzing the relationship between the x and y variables, observing the size of each bubble to understand the magnitude of the third variable, and identifying any trends or patterns. Size. Analyzing the size of each bubble to understand the magnitude of the third variable. Color. Analyze the color of the bubble to identify different categories or groups of the data points. Position. Analyze the position of each bubble to understand the relationship between the x and y axis. Advantages of scatter and bubble plots. Scatter and bubble plots offer several advantages for visualizing relationships between variables. They are also intuitive to understand and can be used to identify trends, outliers, and the strength of relationship between variables. Visual clarity. They offer a clear and concise visual representation of the relationship between variables. Outlier detection. They help to identify data points that deviate from the general trend, providing insights into unusual observations. Trend analysis. They allow for the identification of trends and patterns in the data, providing insights into the relationship between variables. Versatility. They can be used to visualize various types of data, including continuous, categorical, and ordinal variables. Limitations of scatter and bubble plots. Despite their advantages, scatter and bubble plots have some limitations. They can be difficult to interpret with the large data sets or when there are many overlapping points. Scatter and bubble plots can become difficult to interpret when there are many overlapping data points, making it challenging to identify individual points. Limited dimensions. They are limited to visualizing the relationship between two or three variables at a time, making them less suitable for complex data sets with many variables. Misleading interpretations. Misleading interpretations can arise if the data is not carefully analyzed or nonlinear data. Choosing the right relationship plot. Choosing between the scatter plot and bubble plot depends on the type of data and the information you want to convey. Scatter plots. Use scatter plots when you want to visualize the relationship between two variables. Bubble plots. Use bubble plots when you want to visualize the relationship between two variables and the magnitude of the third variable. Thank you, everyone.